Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and as you can see, I've got the blue and black tie on. We've got the Lapis Lakeside music running in the background, and that means that it is time for another Cressminster Raptor Den Poké show. Now, this is the third one. This is the third mon that's been released since I started doing these. This one's for Murkrow and Honchkrow specifically. I only put Murkrow on this slide, but we're reviewing both as they were released last week. It took me a while to get around to judging all these ones. I've been kind of busy, but let's just hop right into it. So, for those of you that don't know what the Cressminster Raptor Den Poké show is, I have the Discord, and I make a special channel whenever there's a new Pokemon released to the game, and you guys all throw your submissions in there of catches that you got throughout the week, and then I just go through and do a brief review of all of them. So, yeah. Now, well, special request that was brought about this time was that I discuss kind of what the Pokemon can do and its role kind of in the meta. And I'll discuss that with Murkrow real quick, or Honchkrow. I think that Honchkrow is a bit... I think that it's spreading itself a bit too thin. It's trying to do Dream Shards, it's trying to do ingredients, pulling random ingredients, and it can pull mushrooms, bean sausage, soybeans, or coffee. Now, my thoughts on that are... It's got some nice synergy. There's possibly an idea of using it for like hidden power perk up stew specifically if you have just good tomato farmer. But realistically, I think it's very difficult to use. So I really wouldn't recommend a Honchkrow hunt, but as we go through these, you'll see some very good Honchkrows and maybe, or Honchkrow potentials, and maybe it's worth it for one of you all to consider using it if you have the right team around it and you happen to catch a pretty good one. So, that's kind of just a brief description. I think it's kind of spreading itself too thin across both ingredients and Dream Shards, and that's making it not great at either, which, as can be seen with slacking, isn't a very great quality in this game. But yeah. So, let's hop right into it. But even though it's kind of a mid Pokemon, or very difficult to use, I think it can be strong. But you need to do a lot of work to make it good, is the problem with it. But let's just get right into reviewing the ones that were caught by all of you. So, first, I want to review the ones that I deemed meh Murkrows. If you watch my Cressminster, then you'll know that these are the ones that I'd say, like, they maybe have a little bit going for them, but not enough that I would ever consider investment or using them personally. With a skill specialist, you have to have something that is actually pretty decent to invest in order for it to be worthwhile, since they take main skill seeds, one of the most sought after and valuable resources offered in this game. So really, if you have something that's just meh, I really wouldn't recommend investing into it. And took a moment to load there. First three, thank you to all the submissions. You'll notice that in these, they either have like two good things but then a bad nature, or like only like one good thing. Or like in the case of this one that was submitted by Udler, this one could have been good, but given that Skill Trigger M is at skill level 70 or level 75, it's locked, and I don't think it's worth using for that long before getting it to be actually pretty decent. So I put it in kind of the more meh category. Also, preface, I'm assuming with all my assessments here, since I had to do it on a community-wide basis, I'm assuming you're willing to make full sub-skill seed investment. Because especially with skill specialist, if you're willing to make the main skill seed investment, you should be able to make them, or you should be willing to make the sub skill seed investment too. Because the main skill seed investment is already a very big expense, so adding just a little bit more onto that to make it extra good is extra good. But yeah. So yeah, these are the first three meh ones. Then we had two more that I kind of thought were in the meh category. Thank you for sending them in, because it's hard to do these Cressminsters without like the middle, like the mid end of things. So I do appreciate every submission, even the ones that are more on the meh end of things. So again, thank you to these five. Now, getting into good Murkrows. Now, these ones are ones that I would say are beyond what my threshold for investable are. If you really want to invest a Honchkrow and your best one is in this category, I'd say then, you know what, this is probably decent enough. I still wouldn't recommend investing into even the ones in the good category, just because it is such a difficult Pokemon to use. I really wouldn't consider it unless it's in the great category, or like the SS tier, like the best tier of Honchkrow. But if you really want to use it because you like Honchkrow and it's your favorite, and you think there's some potential that I'm personally not seeing, then maybe a good Murkrow is where the hunt ends for you, because 16 pips is a very difficult and expensive hunt. So I understand if you want to invest in one of these ones, especially if it's the best that you have. So you'll notice with each one of these, they either have like 2 good things going for them. This first one's submitted by Faceon. Berry Finding S and Skill Trigger M. This one actually isn't the best for triggers, but the Berry Finding S makes it a little bit nicer, because at least it's producing a decent amount of berry strength. But a lot of them have like 2 good things, Skill Trigger and Speed of Help Up, Skill Trigger and Help Speed S. This one's a little bit nice because it also gets a free main skill seed, which makes it a little bit of a cheaper investment. So thank you to Chewy for submitting that one in. We have a few more here. Like I said, a lot of them just have Help Speed S or Help Speed M, Skill Trigger S or Skill Trigger M that can be sub-skill seeded to make them good in those first 3 sub-skill slots. Because that's kind of where I personally look at for is it good, is the first 3 sub-skill slots. There is some potential later on with some of these, like this one eventually gets Help Speed S, but level 75 is so far away. To get Help Speed S that far out is kind of difficult to justify really considering into the calculation, especially since Help Speed S is like the weakest modifier for all of them. So here are 3 more submitted by you all. Now, something very interesting about Murkrow is that its ingredient list kind of matters. It doesn't ultimately because it is a skill specialist, but its ingredient list can be very complementary to the sub-skills that it has. Now, I really don't like Murkrow's C ingredient. I didn't factor that in when grading all these guys, but do note that I think that the C ingredient being herbs kind of holds it back a little bit if you have them, so maybe you could bump these guys down specifically just because of that, but I still wouldn't consider it much because it is a skill specialist first and foremost, and that's where it's going to be pulling most of its ingredients. But now let's get into the great ones. Now, these are the ones that, if you caught them, there might be something there that's worth investing and worth building a team around, potentially, because they are... You caught something that's pretty astonishingly good. Usually this is like 3 good things, particularly with like Help Speed M, Skill Trigger M, and like a Skill Trigger Up Nature or Speed of Help Up Nature. It's going to do pretty well, so I do thank you all for submitting these ones. I have 4 here. I'll move my face for a moment so you can actually see. This first one was submitted by Dizzy. I'll move it there so you can see its ingredient list. Now, some of them have Speed of Help down, but like, that's a downside, but main skill up is so good that it well counteracts the Speed of Help down for what they're doing here. So, like I said, a lot of them just have like 2 good things that can be sub-skill seeded to make them good. This one is a very late game investment. I normally don't consider the level 75 sub-skill, but honestly, Skill Trigger M with a Skill Chance Up Nature, very powerful on that alone. Skill Trigger Up Nature is more potent than the Help Speed M for buffing it, so I figured it's definitely good until 75, but then like great at level 75. So maybe this one might be bumped down a little bit, but I decided to give Dizzy a little bit more on it and say that this one's also pretty good. But Dizzy also caught this one, which honestly I'd probably rather invest this one because at level 100 it's got... Oh, wait. Maybe I wouldn't actually put this one here. I didn't notice the level 100 sub-skill locks the level 25. Maybe I'd invest this one first. I don't know. They're both pretty alright, though. This one also does have the skill trigger nature, though, but Speed of Help down. They're all decent. They're all great. Like I said, I still wouldn't really recommend investing in even a great Murkrow, though, as even a great Murkrow is still a Murkrow, which... It's an alright Pokemon, but it's very difficult to use. Now, these ones, more of them that I consider great, like I said, Helping Speed M, Skill Trigger M, Speed of Help Up Nature, Skill Trigger Nature, even though it's Speed of Help down. Now, Trace was someone who added, not great, but I'm done. This one is great. I don't know what you're saying. It's got double speed, Skill Trigger S that can be sub-skill seeded, and the main skill up Nature. Sure, it has Speed of Help down, but that Speed of Help down is basically counteracted by the Help Speed S. So, if you look at it as just Help Speed M, Skill Trigger M, and a main skill up Nature, then that feels pretty great. So, I would definitely say that this is probably the best one you're going to catch easily, and I would consider it to be great. And I just wanted to make a special comment of that. Now, notable mentions. This is the ones where I like to throw in all the ones that definitely could slot into the other categories pretty well, but I thought were kind of funny for one reason or another. So I wanted to make a special mention of them. First one was Mega Pockets here. This one was really thinking, I heard Inventory is useful on skills Pokemon. It's got Inventory L, Inventory M, and Inventory S, and then finally has Skill Trigger and Main Skill Chance Up. I would not consider investment into this. I just think it's funny because, my goodness, this thing is going to have so much inventory. Inventory is useful, but not this useful. Usually you only need one inventory sub-skill, and that's what I'd consider optimal for a skills Pokemon. Not even all skills Pokemon need that one inventory sub-skill, so... and actually I would say none of them need it, but they can only really appreciate having one, so having this much is just excessive and funny. Would not suggest investment. This would probably go into meh category if I had to rank it. This one, not as bad as you would think. One of you guys said waiting for mints. Once again, honestly, that helping bonus pretty much counteracts the speed of help down nature, and does more so than counteracting that speed of help down nature. So Smouse, I'd say that this is still a pretty good Murkrow. I think I'd put it between good and great. I'd probably struggle to rank it here. I'd probably rank it great, because helping bonus is that powerful of a main skill. And Honchkrow's role on a team is primarily going to be pulling those ingredients to try and provide extra coverage for a particular meal. It's going to be on the team all the time if you're using it, just because it can't quite make all the ingredients necessary for any of the meals that you're targeting with it, at least in my opinions of it. So you're going to get a lot of value out of the helping bonus, unlike a traditional ingredient specialist that would be rotated off quite a bit. In fact, it's actually going to need to be supplemented. So this one having speed of help down really isn't that bad, and easily is counteracted by the sub-skills here. If it was main skill chance down, now that would be a bit of a different story. But speed of help down really isn't that bad. Realistically, I think it's like, what, 7.5% off of its, or 7.5% added. It used to be 1.1%, or not 1.1. It used to be a 10% difference. And even back then, I said that it's easily counteractable by the sub-skills. Now it's only 7.5%. I'd still say this thing's pretty great, especially with that helping bonus. This one was one that I felt so bad. Sonja, this one would actually be a pretty good option if it was just upside down. It's even got mono coffee, which a lot of you guys were talking about how you wanted mono coffee, which I understand because coffee is a very rare ingredient, and it definitely just adds more to what Murkrow's trying to do. If you have that list, once again, still don't hunt it for the list, but it's interesting to look at. But man, if this was flipped, it would be double trigger, which is immediately where I put in the good category. So this one would be a bit more interesting if it could be flipped, but that's not a thing in the game, and I honestly kind of hope it never is a thing in the game, because I'm not a huge fan of the idea of decreasing sub-skill rarity. But, oh well. Sorry that you had to encounter this one, Sonja, because this one is kind of sad to see. These ones were ones that, if they just had the nature, these are really the ones that, this one could be renamed to needs a mint category, because man, these would be pretty great if they just had a different nature that wasn't main skill chance down. Both of them would be good. This one would be a nice budget option with a skill level up in the sub-skills, so yeah, I'm sorry Snorlax, ZZZ, and Charizard, because these would both be, you'd probably be able to end the hunt on these ones if the nature was just flipped, or they had a different nature, and you really wanted to use them. These ones were guys that believed they were the wrong specialty. As you can see, they're all kind of thinking they're ingredient finders, honestly, which is extra funny because all of them have not mono lists. If any of them had a mono list, they'd really think they're an ingredient specialist, but they don't have that. Instead, they just have a lot of ingredient finding in their sub-skills in nature, which is pointless on a Murkrow. Oh, whoops, sorry. Spoilers. Ingredient finding really is a very afterthought on Murkrow. You're looking for skill triggers first and foremost, so all of these ones would probably be in the meh category for sure. I would not invest in any of them, but they're funny. Then we had 4 shinies submitted by the community. Now, that is more than we've ever had for Cressminster. I believe for the last 2, we've had 1 in both of them submitted by the community. So seeing 4 of them is a bit unique, but it's really not, because during its event that it was released in, there was boosted shiny rates because it was the new moon. So I think that led to getting 4 times the shinies here. 2 of them were fully evolved Murkrow, and 2 of them were Murkrow submitted by the community. So congrats. Now, unfortunately, none of them are really ones that I would consider usable. In fact, this one looks very similar to the Big Pockets one earlier. In fact, it actually also has inventory up L, inventory M, inventory S. So another funny inventory guy. But yeah, none of them are really usable because they all have bad natures pretty much. And the one that doesn't have a bad nature has just nothing going for it in the sub-skills. So sorry that all the shinies this time around sucked. The last 2 times they were both usable. So this was a bit sad to see. But also, I'm happy to see that you guys got 4 shinies, because Shiny Honchkrow, one of my favorites. I think that the pink, it's so... the gangsterness of the bird is so, like, counteracted by the pink that it actually kind of works and makes it more gangster in its own way. I like Shiny Honchkrow. I want one myself, and I'm kind of jealous. So, even if it's not usable, I just want one for the box. But anyway, dishonorable mentions. Now, these are the ones that you guys submitted that are just bad. I took the 5 worst ones, or it might be 4 actually. I didn't modify this too much from the Cresselia presentation, so I may have forgotten to change that. But these are the worst Pokemon, the worst ones that you all submitted. So it is. Oh, it is 5. Okay. Once again, I'll move my face out of the way so you can see the name. But yeah, I am so sorry to the 4 of you that caught 5 different Murkrow, because these ones are all pretty darn bad. They either have nothing going for them at all. This one actually kind of thinks it's wrong specialty sort of thing as earlier. Or they have just like a bad nature. These 2 like really have nothing going for them. This one I guess could be usable at 75, but that's way too late. And you'd have to potentially waste 3 sub-skill seeds before the skill trigger could be what you want it to be. So this one is definitely not worth it either. I'm so sorry to those of you that caught these ones. But thank you for submitting them, because once again, without seeing the bad Pokemon, we can't really fully appreciate the good Pokemon that we caught. And this one is so sad because it has Helping Bonus, which is the most powerful sub-skill in the game. But it's just got nothing else going for it, and it's got a main skill chance down nature, which just ultimately ruins it. So, I don't even think any of these guys could be fixed with a mint. So, my sympathies go out to you. But now, let's get to the top 3. Now this time, when I did Cresselia, I gave a top 5 out. This time there were a lot less submissions. I think the shorter duration of the event that it was boosted during, as well as it being a Pokemon that people were less interested in, there were a lot less submissions. So I didn't really have 5 standouts. I really only had like 3 standouts and I really only had 2 standouts if I'm honest. But I decided to make it a top 3 anyway. So the best in murder of the murder in the community. First, we had this one submitted by Pink Orange Red. I really just chose it because it's like one of the great ones that I had earlier, but it comes online a little bit earlier than some of the other ones are. So as you can see, 6.2 procs per day at level 25, which is a bit earlier than which it's not quite there. It's level 50 when it really gets good, I'd say, producing about 8.34 procs per day based off these calculations that I ran, which I believe was with a good camp ticket. Either way, for comparing to the other ones, these numbers are kind of nice. And then still level 60, about 8.34. That's not going to change too much, but you can see that it's 8 procs per day is a lot. And potentially with a max level main skill, that's like an additional 10,000 Dream Shards on top of the ingredients that you'd be pulling, about 30 of each per day on average. There's a lot of RNG with this Pokemon, so those are averages. Keep that in mind. Second is by Newsy14, who submitted this one. Now, this one is like, the first 3 sub-skills in the nature are exactly what you're looking for. Well, almost exactly. It could be better, and we'll get to that soon, but for the most part, Skill Trigger M, Skill Trigger S, Help Speed M, with a Skill Trigger up nature that doesn't even hurt, like, it doesn't even hurt your energy recovery or like your XP gains. It's an ingredients down nature, which granted, you could kind of use those ingredients to supplement a little bit more, especially since this one doesn't have a C ingredient. So maybe that ingredients down is a bit of a downside, but I don't know. I see it as an absolute win, and even level 75 is kind of nice because it counteracts that ingredient down a little bit so that it can supplement itself a little bit better with the coffee and soybeans, so it doesn't need to rely as much on your other farmers. But you can see over 9 procs a day at level 50 here, which is just absurd to think about. You're going to have to be collecting quite a bit in order to get that. And then it actually increases a bit more by level 60. I actually don't know why that would be. Probably something to do with the level 60 ingredient proc maybe being smaller than the level 30. I'm not sure how the coffee... it probably is 4. I don't know what it is for the level 30 proc for soybeans. So, but yeah, the frequency also might be the difference there too. Who knows? But yeah, 9.39 procs per day. Now the next one... Here is the best in show, the best in murder, and I don't think, if you guys were following along in the Discord and seeing people upload these, I think everybody knew this was coming, because my goodness, this Murkrow is insane. Perfect sub-skills for the first 3, and then just perfect nature as well. This is insane. Now, it's only better than this one because this one had skill trigger S, and I personally like help bonus more. A lot of people like help bonus more, and this one has helping bonus, that most powerful sub-skill in the game. So, now, it actually procs less, as you can see here, because it's got helping bonus. This one up here is help bonus stack set to 0. This one is help bonus stack set to null. You can see that it does proc less than the number 2 entry is, but congrats Flex, because with a helping bonus, I think it's more fair, especially for a Pokemon that's going to be on the team all the time, which Murkrow really should be if it's trying to do its job well. I think it's going to be sitting on the team a lot. Then it's better to evaluate it with help bonus stacks set to null, which if you do that, this one comes out to show like 10 procs per day. Granted, that's not how many procs it's actually going to be getting per day, but it's a better reflection of how much strength that helping bonus might provide to the course of the whole team. And yeah, it's literally just the last one, but with helping bonus instead of skill trigger S, which I would always take helping bonus over skill trigger S, no matter what the Pokemon is. So, that's where we're sitting. Congrats to Flex. Like I said, I think you all knew that was coming if you've been following along in the Discord. But yeah, if you have enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Down in the description, we'll have a link to join the Discord. If you want to submit it to a future Cressminster, I'm doing one for Mawile coming up next week. So join the Discord and you can submit your entrances there. And talk about all things Pokemon Sleep in the Lake with a cool community of people. I've also got my channel memberships. If you like what I'm doing here and want to show your support in that way, you can click the join button if you're financially capable of doing so. I don't have any rewards for paid members, but the option is there if you just want to show your support in that way. And as always, I thank you all for watching and hope that you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye now.